What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2006 Suzuki XL-7. Up front is a 2.7 liter V6, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this XL-7 because Suzukis are getting so hard to find. They have left the American market quite a few years ago, and so you don't really see them on American roads too much anymore. So whenever given the chance, I try to drive them, and that's exactly what I'm doing with this XL-7. But if you guys would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2.7 liter V6 under the hood. Well, there were two engines offered here in the US, a 2.5 liter V6 and the 2.7 liter. This is the more powerful, torquier 2.7 liter and kind of the engine of choice. According to the owner, the engine has been decently reliable besides little stuff like the starter motor, and timing chain guides seem to fail. They seem to be weak points. To be fair, this vehicle is on its second motor. However, this car started its life as a rental vehicle, and some previous renter actually overheated it and blew the head gasket on the original engine. So, not really the vehicle's fault, kind of the renter without insurance fault. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission, but these were also offered with a 5-speed manual, and the reason that's of note is not only because this is an SUV, but this is a 3-row SUV that had an optional manual transmission. Very rare here in the US at any point in history to find a manual 3-row SUV. Now, last but not least, of course, the XL-7 is 4-wheel drive, and we'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. So how does it feel to drive the XL-7? It drives like pretty much any other vehicle in its class or segment. The cushier tires that have been put onto this vehicle definitely help out that ride quality, and visibility is fine. It is body on frame, so you do feel quite a bit of those bumps as it is. Steering isn't too heavy, the controls are nice and easy and manageable, and I have no complaints across the board. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, as well as what wheels I'm engaging. In the center, I have a speedometer, and off to the right, I have the coolant temperature and fuel. The steering wheel is blank and barren, although it does have cruise control to the bottom right. There's no forward-facing buttons at all. It's just a big Suzuki badge. Off to the left, I have my climate control vents, fog light, dimmer switch, and heated mirrors. Factory heated mirrors is pretty nice. And I do have an aftermarket added light bar button. And then moving on to the door, we have the power windows, power mirrors, and power locks. Moving into the center, this is an aftermarket radio. This is not the factory radio. However, it does have Apple CarPlay, which is a nice addition. And then we have a little bit of a control center. So off to the left, we have our 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive settings. Very, very nice to see that. We also have our hazard switch and clock/temperature, and then we have our climate controls. So temperature off to the left, fan speed in the center, where to send it off to the right, as well as I have my rear climate controls off to the far right, which we'll talk about in a second. Then we do have this openable storage cubby. Then we do have openable cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. And not only does it pass here in the front, but there's a second cup holder by the armrest that it also passes in. So the 2006 Suzuki XL-7 gets a double pass for the big friggin' bottle test. Then we move down to the shifter, pretty standard operation there, nothing too crazy. But off to the left, I do have automatic transmission power button, in case you want that extra little punch in your XL-7. And then I have heated seats for the driver and passenger, and a 12-volt outlet. Then moving into the center, we do have the handbrake, little coin holder, and that passable big friggin' bottle cup holder. Love that. And then we do have the armrest that can be extended if that's something you want. If you got long arms, short arms, whatever it might be. The seats are cloth. There was a leather option here in the Suzuki XL-7, but these are the cloth seats. And honestly, truly, I prefer these. I think these are a lot more comfortable than leather seats. This is a sort of 90s style of fabric, a sort of cloth seat that we really didn't see post-recession here in America. Past 2008, we didn't really see seats like this. So it's nice and comforting, and I have to say I'm a big fan. However, speaking of seats, we do have 2 more rows of seating. So let's go do some backseat reviews. All right, so we're in the second row of the Suzuki XL-7, and a couple of things to note. First of all, the seats actually do move forward and back, which is really, really nice for the third row occupants that we'll get to in a second, but they also do recline. So I can lean back if no one's in the third row and really enjoy my XL-7 riding experience back here. I do have a little rollout ashtray down here. I don't get any rear climate vents in front of me, but I do over my head, and you can adjust the settings right there. Other than that, I'm not really seeing too many features, but again, Suzuki was never like a feature-heavy automobile company. They kind of relied on affordability and things like that, so that's to be expected. But let's hop into the third row. All right, so I can't reach the door from here to close it, but in the third row, it's honestly not bad. I do have a storage pocket over here. I get cup holders back here, and the seats themselves aren't uncomfortable. However, with the seat up in its normal position, not move forward, it would be pretty tough back here, but hopefully your second row occupants are nice enough to move up for you, and then it's not the end of the world. So it's very, very nice that this does have a third row, and I get vents from this center bar faced at me, so I get my own climate control vents in the third row, which is very hard to find in SUVs, unless you're talking about like the Tahoe, Suburban, Escalade type vehicles. So definitely very, very nice to see this, and a big benefit of having the aircon controls right here instead of in front of the second row. Very, very cool. Other than that, nothing too crazy, but let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the XL-7, handle right here, and it does come out like that. You can see that big strut right there, putting in the work. This is as far as the door goes out, which is actually quite a bit. And once we are back here, we do get a little bit of storage down here. Just some roadside tools, nice to see that, and you do get a 12-volt outlet. Love seeing that. Overall, not crazy space, but this third row does go down, and then you do have crazy space, which is phenomenal. So, big fan of the XL-7's rear interior. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is finished in tan / beige / whatever you want to call it. I'm not a huge fan of the color choice, but Suzuki didn't have any real crazy colors at the time. I think it's a relatively handsome SUV. I think it's proportioned pretty well, and overall I don't really have too many other thoughts besides that. It's just kind of an SUV that's here. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a 2006 Suzuki XL-7? Well, I think this vehicle actually is incredibly interesting, even past what I just mentioned with the exterior of being uninteresting. I never knew that Suzuki had a 7-passenger vehicle, and that's where the 7 in XL-7 comes from. This really is like a Grand Vitara or Grand Escudo, depending on the market. And this is another one of those cars where you can't really strap it down to one market or one reason. This was a global car sold all across the world. And so if you're watching this video from a foreign market where you got this vehicle maybe under a different name, please leave a comment. I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on this vehicle. But this vehicle does raise a question. Why didn't these sell that well? Why did Suzuki have to pull out of the American market? Because honestly, from where I'm sitting, I quite like this thing. And I don't really see a reason why someone would particularly choose a Chevy Trailblazer over this. I mean, I'm sure there's little minute reasons, but in the grand scheme, why didn't this perform as well as the Trailblazer? Why didn't this perform as well as other vehicles in its segment? And to be honest, I don't really know. But for the time being, I'm excited and happy to be showing you this XL-7, something that you don't see on the road anymore. And so I hope you've enjoyed some high-definition footage of a vehicle from a bygone era. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Adrian for meeting up with me this morning and letting me drive his XL-7. I was so excited to get another Suzuki under my belt. He is absolutely awesome. We're filming another one of his vehicles later today, and I can't wait for that. So huge thank you to Adrian. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.